Okay, we are almost at the end of October here in the Pacific Northwest. It is actually October 30th today, and I am going to be taking all of my garlic. This whole bag here is what I saved from when I harvested garlic in the summer, and I am going to be breaking them apart into individual little cloves like this, and these are going to go get planted down into my garden. So I'm just going to work on getting these all broken apart, and then when we come back, we will get these planted in the ground. All right, so we are down here in the garden. I'm accompanied by my chicken, but we're going to be putting the garlic in, and I have these raised beds here in the center in my main garden. If you haven't been with me for very long, I have a weed mat on the bottom so nothing can burrow up underneath, basically like moles and gophers, which we have trouble with here. And I'm going to put it up there in that first bed because I can move the start of the water to the second bed back. Garlic does not really like to be heavily watered as it's finishing off at the end of the season, so that will just make it easier for me to be able to remove water from that bed. So let's get to amending it and putting in our garlic. All right, so in this bed, if you have watched any of my previous videos, this had tomatoes in it. And the previous year, if you can see, right here and right here, these are celery plants, and they're just volunteers that came up from seed. I have not had celery in here 2 years, and there's still seeds in the ground. Now, celery typically goes to seed the second year, and these did not start growing until this fall. So I'm not sure if I'm going to leave them in the ground or if I'm going to take them out. For the moment, I'll probably just leave them in here and work around them. I am going to go through here and pull any weeds that have come up since I was working in this bed last. And then I'm going to add some, it's an organic potting soil that has quite a bit of compost in it. And then as we go to plant each one of the garlic cloves right here, you can see I ended up with quite a few. I mean, for me, I don't need a ton, but we're going to put in some bone meal. And then I'm going to add some balanced 10-10-10 into each one of the holes as we get to planting. So I'm just going to work on that. And I do tend to kind of put my garlic, I do tend to put my garlic more in like a row. So I'm just going to get this broken up. It's not super bad, but if you have a garden, how are things going in your garden? Are you done for the year? Or are you doing some fall crops? It's always kind of hard for me this time of year because the rest is much needed, and I do kind of look forward to that. But at the same time, there's just something about working with your hands and growing food and just kind of tending the land and taking care of what God gave you. It just is really, it's just kind of rewarding. Plus, it's just like a quiet little therapy for me. This is where I have a lot of my quiet time or reflective time. Think about things that I want to do. But I don't know if you're like me, if you do that too. This bed, thankfully, not a whole lot of weeds have come back up because I have been having so much trouble with weeds that blow up the hill. We're on the upslope of a hill, and massive, massive farm fields everywhere you can see. And they do a pretty good job at keeping weeds out of there. And they have people that walk the fields. We have a lot of grass fields. They grow ryegrass and stuff, and they have workers that walk every inch of the field and pull out weeds. But we do have some other fields, and of course, some other neighbors that don't do anything with their properties, and so we get a lot of weed seeds. But it's all part of it, I guess, right? Ugh, this stuff was sitting out here in the bag, but it rained, so it's kind of heavy. But I'm just going to get this basically one row. And I don't know if you can see in the camera all the way down here, this right here. That is a volunteer potato plant. And I did not have potatoes in here this year. I had potatoes in here last year. And inevitably, I never get every single little tiny microscopic potato out. And now I'm getting volunteer potatoes. So I'm just going to start. So basically, I'm just going to dig a hole. And I'm going to take my little individual clove of garlic. And if you've not planted garlic before, there's a pointed end. And this was the root end when they were all on that same bulb together. So you want to take that root end and put that down. And then you're just going to cover back over it and give it a little pat. So that's what I'm going to be doing. We now have this whole bed completely filled with garlic. I only had 6 little ones left. I'll just take those and use those for cooking in the kitchen. I'm not going to bother watering these in simply because this is the last pretty much nice day. You can kind of see how we're getting a lot of cloud cover. Rain is coming in for almost 2 weeks. I've got to get these hoses all cleared up out of the garden. I've got soaker hoses on every one of the beds. So that's what I'm going to work on next. But before I end this kind of quick video today, I just wanted to show you how the lettuces are doing. They're getting bigger. The birds were biting them, if you can kind of see how there's a scalloped edge there. Looks like as they're getting bigger, they're starting to leave them alone a little bit more. Already need to do some weeding in here. The cauliflower, or this is the broccoli, definitely need to do some weeding in here. But look at this head of broccoli. It's starting to get nice and big, so I can't wait to watch that one continue to grow. And the only other thing we have in here is down here, which is the cauliflower. And this is the self-wrapping cauliflower, which means the leaves wrap themselves around the head as it's forming. I don't know if any are forming just yet. I'm kind of afraid to take the netting off. But if it doesn't make it, what I end up doing, even after I harvest like the heads of the cauliflower and the broccoli, the leaves I will just leave down here in the garden, and throughout the winter months I will just rip some off, feed them to the chickens so they have fresh greens. But if the cauliflower doesn't produce, then the whole thing will just go to the chickens. So no waste, but I'm really hoping to get a good stand of cauliflower. So that's pretty much all I got for you in this quick little video. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time.